Several sectors of the economy are warning government against reinstating a hard lockdown. FlySafair says a travel ban will be the knock-on effect on the aviation industry, which is still recovering from the first hard lockdown. The budget domestic airline resumed flights in June for business travelers, while leisure flights were allowed from August.
A lockdown, again, one that completely sort of prohibited any air travel would obviously be devastating, as it was the first time around. The reality is that I think we're all responsible citizens as much as we are business people, and we completely respect that certain actions have to be taken in order to make sure that the population are looked after properly. And it'll be incredibly tough. We made it through the first time, so we're just going to have to employ a lot of those same tactics and push through a second time. But it will be very difficult. Yeah, I mean, it does put us into a very tough position, to be honest. I mean, is it worth it to operate? That's a question we ask ourselves all the time. I mean, there's a sort of dynamic to it. You can operate at a loss and still offset some of the costs that you might have had to endure, regardless of whether or not you were operating, which was part of the circumstances that we sort of faced when the opportunity arose for us to start flying again on the 15th of June, which is when FlySafair did start flying again. It was very much a question of, well, do we do that, or do we sort of hang 10 and see what's going on? And we started operating in a kind of reduced capacity at that point, and that made a lot of sense for us. We were obviously able to provide the service to our customers, but at the same token, try to minimize some of the losses that we were experiencing. So, I mean, as an industry, I think it's a foregone conclusion. No one's making any money this year. I mean, that goes without saying. It's the same for many other industries. But what we've just got to do is try to take the most kind of prudent path forward to ensure that we're here in the long run to keep operating, to keep the jobs for our people alive, and to make sure that we're continuing to offer a good service for customers.
Gordon added that the sector saw a rise in ticket sales in December, but fares are low this year compared to other years.
Makers have been taking advantage of the time to travel across the country in December. What we've seen as an industry is quite a massive sort of explosion of supply between what was existing in November and what was actually on the market in December. And that was largely as a result of a number of the suppliers coming back into the market, those that had previously been out of the game for some time post the lockdown. So what we did see was almost a doubling, actually, of the number of markets in the seats in the market. That said, the number of actual passengers in absolute terms between November and December did grow. So we did see that kind of seasonal growth that we would like to see. It stands to reason that it was nothing near what it was, say, last year. And as a result of that, what we've done is we've seen quite a few bums in seats, but as an industry, we haven't been able to attract or to get particularly strong fares or strong prices, which is ordinarily what we look to at this time of the year in order to kind of offset some of maybe the losses from the low periods as such. So, I mean, we're sitting here today on FlySafair. Tomorrow, you could jump on a flight from Johannesburg to George for as little as about 500 Rand, which is unheard of at this time of year in other years.